Hi guys, welcome back to the Scrap Zone. I'm Julie. Welcome back to my 52 weeks project. We're in catch-up mode, or I'm in catch-up mode. I kind of knew that this was going to happen, but you know what? This is the perfect project for that. So I'm going to start my July sketches, and I'm going to go through 3 pages with you. I'm going to start with week 27 right here, and I got a new haircut. I got my second vaccination. So things are opening up here, so that's why I'm a little bit late with my project. So remember at the beginning I was really unsure as to what I was going to use, so I'm going to use a whole bunch of scraps for this month. So as I said to you, I'm going to show you how to do layout number 1, and we're going to do some precision ripping. I'm going to show you that in a second. So I'm going to add all of my little pieces here, and I really like the way that turned out. And here, because we are starting book number 2, I really wanted to make sure that I started it off with a really nice page, and I wanted to make sure that I was putting down that it was July. So I end up not even using this piece, but you know what? It's all part of the process. I'm going to bring in these little sentiment here, and I thought, well, this is a cute one. Hello, July. That kind of works really nicely. And I'm going to reach for my wood hearts. I've been reaching for those quite a bit in this project. So let's put this page together. But first, I didn't know what I was going to do with my background. So I thought, you know what? Let's go back to a trusted technique, ink smooshing. And it's not just for cards. You can actually do it for scrapbooking too, and especially for this format. Again, this is a 6x8 format, so when you're doing ink smooshing on your background, it's not too big. The one thing is that I needed to add quite a bit of water, and I'm just using regular cardstock, so my pages are going to warp a tiny little bit, but once I put them in my page protectors, they're going to flatten out and they'll be just fine. So here you see me doing my first layer with almond ink, and it's going to dry much lighter at the end. You'll see that at the end of the video. I'm adding here a little bit of peach because I did have some pink in my photos and in the pattern papers that I did select. So I'm going to add a little bit here, and you just kind of go and you add as much or as little color as you want. The only thing I would recommend is go with lighter tones because you don't want the ink smooshing to upstage your photos when you're done at the end. So all of the layouts this month have this unique feature, or this feature that kind of repeats itself over the month, which is ripping of your pattern paper. Now, some people don't like to rip their pattern paper because you can't control the rip. Well, let me show you how to absolutely control where you have that rip going through your pattern paper. So here you see me pulling out just a water brush, and I'm going to draw a line of water on my pattern paper. So I'm just kind of drawing it on my pattern paper, as you can see, and I'm putting it exactly where I want it. And when you rip, the paper actually rips along the water line, which is actually pretty cool. So I'm going to do that again. So you can see here I'm adding just a little bit of water onto my pattern paper, and you can put squiggles in here. You can put like a thin strip, or you can see here at the end that I kind of pulled it out. So I am going to rip along that water line, and it absolutely just follows that water line perfectly. So this is pretty cool if you want to have a little bit more control on your ripped edges. The other thing that I like to do while it's still wet is I just curl that pattern paper piece up, and it's much easier when the paper is wet, and then when it dries perfectly. So I hope that you like this technique, and I really hope that you give it a try, because it's just sometimes when we're unsure as to where our paper is going to rip, we don't want to do it. Well, this way here, you know exactly where it's going to go. So here I'm showing you that I'm going to add a book on my background piece so that it flattens as it dries. And I'm going to move on to the double page spread that is going to be week 28 and 29. Remember, I'm in catch-up mode. So again, this is the perfect project for that. So if you fall behind a little bit, it's okay. They're small layouts and you can easily catch up. So I'm going to show you here, this piece is on both sides. So you can see it's like a little triangle on both sides. So you just put the top peak at the top of your blade, and then you just angle the bottom one and you just slice that in half. Now I usually bring my blade halfway through the paper so that I don't crumple the points, because if you just go straight down or straight up, you might kind of damage the points of your piece. When you bring it halfway into the middle, it just helps prevent that. So let's do some ink smushing on this one as well. And I thought this was a really good technique because I was working on several layouts at a time, so it actually turned out well. But you can absolutely go back to stamping a background stamp if you don't want to do the ink smushing, but I thought, hey, why not? Kind of summer, it's kind of like, just go for it. So here I'm adding a little bit of green, and I kind of realized that I kind of went heavy on the green. Now, you're never going to get the same pattern as I'm getting here. Everything is going to look differently. The only thing you need to remember is that it's going to dry much lighter, and use lighter shades of ink. That way it's not too much. So I'm adding here more water, and I'm doing that second page of my double page spread. So I'm actually working on 3 layouts at the same time because for one, I'm a little bit late, and for 2, I want to catch up. So I'm adding a little bit of green here, and you saw that I put not that much, like I didn't squish it down all the way into my all-purpose mat, and I'm just picking up just a little bit of that green. So again, I've gone back and forth between the 2 colors until I was happy with the results. I'm adding a little bit of water, and your cardstock will be quite wet, and you just let it dry. And again, once it goes in the page protector, it really doesn't matter. So actually, when I was looking at it, I thought, no, that's a bit too much. But you know what? Keep going. Sometimes we just stop because we're like, oh no, this is not going to work. And at the end, when I looked at my layout, I thought, oh, it was really pretty. So this is where I thought, okay, maybe I need a little bit more color. So I brought in toffee, and I'm just going to add some splatters to it. And again, I was thinking, oh, whoa, that's too much. But you know what? Let it dry and come back to it maybe the next day, and you'll see that it turns out to be really nice and unique. So we're going to keep on with that technique of precision ripping, if you want, by adding a little bit of water. And here you can see it better on a darker piece of pattern paper. And I'm ripping towards me because I want to see the white core of the paper. So I'm just going to curl that up. I'm going to do the same thing on this piece right here. And I think the reason why I didn't stamp my sentiment stamp that I've been using quite a bit in this album is because this piece of pattern paper actually has a script on it. And I thought that they would kind of fight each other. So I said, why not? Let's do something different, and let's do ink smushing. So let's go back to week 27 now that my background piece is dry. And I did bring in a flip flap only because I didn't really want to start my book with, oh, COVID again. I wanted to start my book with, hey, look at me, I got a haircut and I feel great. I don't know about you guys, but you know, when you get a haircut, you just feel like $1,000,000. So I thought, why not start my book with that picture? I'm showing you here that you can totally flip that piece of pattern paper if you don't want pink, or I think this is actually smoothie. If you don't want that color and you want it to be more muted, you can totally switch that out, but I kind of liked the pink color. I often don't use pink, so I thought, why not? Let's put some in there. So I'm adding my 2 pieces, I'm adding my journaling, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed definitely that along the way something happened. I'm journaling quite a bit more than, just a couple of little lines here, because journaling is not my superpower. So I thought, I don't want to journal, and a lot of people feel this way. And eventually, when you do it every week, you become more comfortable, and you end up sometimes with having a lot to say. So this one here, I had a lot to say, and I thought, okay, I'm going to bring in my 4x4 flip flap. I can put all of my journaling, I can put my photo, I can absolutely add that I did get my second COVID shot, but I didn't want it to be the feature of my first page. So anyways, flip flaps are your friend if you want to add more pictures, and also if you want to add more journaling. So here you see me adding just a piece of pattern paper at the back so that you can see that the word hello is backed with that really nice print. So I'm going to add that to my page. And then this is where I was trying to figure out, okay, I've got my title if you want. Let's see how this is going to look. And maybe now that I'm looking at it, had I stamped it in a different color, I probably would have used it, but it wasn't popping for me. So I brought this other stamp set that I've pulled out of my stash, and I stamped the word July, and then it still says Hello July, but it's a little bit more subdued. So that was stamped in toffee ink, and I'm just going to add my little heart here right at the front, and I kind of like the way that that turned out. So I'm going to pop that right on there, and then I'm going to bring my trusty wood hearts, and I'm going to add just like a couple more so that you have kind of like 3 hearts on that one page, and I really like the way that that turned out. So again, if you're running behind on your project, it's okay. We're all allowed to go out now and maybe go shopping, go to restaurants. So you might fall behind on your project, but you can easily catch up. As you can see here, I'm doing week 27, 28, and I'm taking an advance into 29, only because I'm going to be a little busy in the month of July, so I'm going to, instead of doing one every week, I'm going to just catch up and make sure that I stay on track for my 52 weeks project. So now let's jump to that double page spread. And I did cut some mats originally, photo mats, and then when I brought in the sage color, it was just, there was a lot of busyness going on with the smooshing at the back, so I decided to make both of those photo mats the same color using the sage, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of distressing on all of the pieces, and I'm going to glue them all down. So these are the ones that go on the top, and I've done that precision paper ripping, if you want to call it. So we're going to add that right on the top, and I did skip through in this part how I placed that blue piece, and it's okay, I'll show you on the right page. I'm going to finish this left page here with you. So I'm going to add this picture right here. This is a picture of hubby, and he's been going throughout the city kayaking, and he's enjoying that quite a bit. And this tiny little bunny, we saw him on one of our evening walks, and he was just really cute. He was tiny, like the size of my hand. So this stamp set absolutely works out perfectly for This Is the Life. And when I do stamp my titles, I often will stamp them on a larger piece of cardstock just to make sure that I give myself enough room if I want to add it in a different, like vertically or horizontally. And here I'm just going to kind of dovetail one end. I just felt that that big square was taken up too much of the page, and just by dovetailing one end, I just felt that it looked much nicer. So again, that was stamped using New England Ivy ink, and I'm going to add my week 28 right at the top. All of the pieces have been inked distress with toffee, and you'd think I would have used almond, but no, I ended up using toffee, and I'm going to add that to my page. So I'm going to add my little tiles here underneath my photo mat, and then I just have to add my title, and I am going to use 3D foam tape, but I'm using the thin 3D foam tape, so I'm going to try and refrain from adding extra bulk, because I do know that my second book is probably going to be as big as my first book, and I have to get to December. So we're going to try to not put too much bulk, but you know, whatever happens, happens. I can't really plan it out until it happens. So let me show you how I added those two triangle pieces, because I kind of missed it on the left hand side. So I'm going to quickly here add a little bit of distressing, and that triangle goes on first, and then you've got your green piece, and then your blue piece goes underneath. So in order to achieve that, just add a little bit of glue on this triangular piece right here. So you're going to tack that down, and then you're going to add your green piece right on top. So I'm adding a little bit of double-sided tape here. I'm going to ink distress that as well. So these are pretty rustic. Like if you remember back in January, it didn't start off like that. So I'm really liking the evolution of this project. So we're going to add this little piece right here at the bottom, and it's going to be nice and flush. So we're going to add that, and then this piece goes underneath. So because I didn't tack down that long triangle, I can actually sneak that blue piece right underneath and push it as far down as I want. I think that I like it right here. I'm going to tack this down, the green piece here. I'm going to tack it down with a little bit of glue, because I know that that one's not going to change. So I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of glue so that it's nice and secured on my page. And then for this blue piece, I'm not sure. I might tuck a picture or something underneath, so I'm going to leave that open for now. And then I'm just going to tack this piece down. So I'm just going to run a bead of glue here on the side of the base page. And I'm going to make sure that I don't go over. And then I'm just going to add a couple of strips just to tack this down. So that's how you put those three pieces on your base page. So I'm kind of caught up now. I feel a bit better. I'm caught up to my 52 weeks. I'm going to have my little photo mats here ready for, I don't know what's going to happen this week, but we'll soon find out. I'm probably going to add some journaling on this, but I haven't quite figured that out. Here are the completion of week 27 and 28. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to take pictures, and don't worry, you can catch up too. I'll see you in the next video.